We got a good show today. We got one of the longtime community activists in here. His name is Willie Stewart. I know you know him. You can join the conversation at 716-837-1112. And you might want to open your windows at home. It's going to get hot. It's going to get hot. It's going to get hot. And Willie ain't got no hair, y'all.
Uh-oh.
I shouldn't told her. You know, he ain't got. By the way, you know, Murray ain't got no hair either.
Yes.
I blame this on the community.
No, I blame it on.
I like, that's the style. What happened? Who grabbed him? Some barber hooked you up.
Look who walked in with all the hair.
All the
hair. Austin got all the hair.
We got hair.
Yes. Got pushed down everything.
Dig it. Yeah. But listen, folks, this is going to be a good show. And you know what we do? We mix it up.
Yes.
And don't nobody have to raise hand. And hey, look, we pouring it out today. And so hear us, and if you want to get in, like I say, get in and stay on topic, you know, and it'll be good. It's gonna be good anyway. Hey, Willie, it's good to have you here today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Jim. It's definitely a pleasure.
All right, we got some long mouth, long mouth, and this is Austin Martin.
Okay, it's a pleasure meeting you, young
Willie
man.
Stewart.
Your hair was like that.
Anytime I see a young man in my presence, it makes me feel good.
All right. See what me and you do?
Put that microphone. Put that microphone to you. Austin came in with all the energy. Before we leave out of here, it's gonna be a little bit hot.
Well, I'm Murray.
Yes, sir.
Tell me something about Willie. What is he going? I hope he gonna be nice to us today. I know he'd be nice to us.
Mother bringing them drinks and everything.
He just gonna tell it like it is.
Yes. Well, first let's give a background on Mr. Willie Stewart. Man, been in the community for many years. I'm gonna go back a little bit on time. Black Panther, I guess we got two. How you get two Black Panthers in the same building at the same time? During that era, also a man of God and has a great family, is a retired sheriff as well, and worked for the Board of Education in the field of, what was it? Plaster. Also, you know, so he has a lot of knowledge about what goes on, and then sometimes people take his theories in the wrong way. And on this show here, on the Jim Anderson show, we respect everybody for their opinion. True. And so you know, don't hate the station, don't hate us, but you have your right to speak your mind. And Willie Stewart has been doing that for numerous years. Me and him, we argue back and forth all the time, but I love him to death. Not to death, but I just love him and put it that way. And then so the knowledge is there. He is one of the reasons that I became a deputy sheriff as well. When that time period came that they retired him and Don Allen retired. And this man knows a lot with expungement, things like that there, and having young folks have their records cleared up, and then have them, what was it called at one time, Willie? Instead of just being a sponge,
well,
have a seal.
Anything sealed can be opened.
And he's a man. He actually just put a plaque inside the Meriwether Library this week. And so when you walk into the Meriwether Library, right next to that big piece where Frank Meriwether Jr. picture is, he has a plaque there. You talk about Sankofa and all those things there, and it's there now, and it's been presented. He'll talk about that much. Then he's into this. What is going on in our community? Willie Stewart will put it to any politician or anyone that wants to listen, and he asks a question, what are you doing? And so we're here for the shake up early this morning. We shaking it up so much that the radio station probably going to be like, whoa, what's going on? So those lines are going to be open in a few. You can call it 716-837-1112. And without further ado, Mr. Willie Stewart, what's up?
Oh, good morning, Murray. Good morning, Mr. Anderson, a young fella I just met. It's a pleasure here. Anytime I see a young fella, working, in the community and trying to do something such as yourself, I feel good. It makes my heart feel better. What's funny? On my way here this morning, I flipped on the radio, and every song, about 3 or 4 songs in a row, came on. And those songs was like, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." I guess I needed that this morning when I walked in this place, because we live in a community where I see a lot of devastation, a lot of poverty, just a lot of things that I don't feel that should be happening over the years that I've been on this earth. I've been fighting for this community for quite a few years. Someone asked me about my resume. It's longer than most people. I did most in 1 year, but most people do probably in a lifetime because I love this community, and I'm not just saying it. Maybe one day we can really sit down and go through it. But I'm one of those people, if I feel that you're doing something right in this community, I'll speak on it and say you're doing something right. If you're doing something wrong, or I don't know about it, I'll step to you and say, hey, what's going on? Just recently I had some people ask me about one of our legislators here in Buffalo. And they asked me, did I know who he was? And who are you talking about? Well, who took, I think it's Howard Johnson's spot.
Yeah.
I said, so what you saying? What do you, he said, well, we don't know the individual that's there. I said, well, I don't know him either.
Oh, Duncan Howard.
Wait a minute. And a lot of times, what I'll do is, when I don't know someone, either I'll go to them or hopefully they'll present themselves to the community. But we have in the Democratic Party, a system as such as where they pick who they want to. If I work for you or you're a friend, we move them to the spots, not people that come out of this community that's really put the work down. And I'm looking for people when they represent me to truly represent me. Now, when I ask the question, not as an activist, because I really don't consider myself, I consider myself a taxpayer. And me being a taxpayer, I should have the right, to go to any legislator or any council person, or congressperson, and on down the line when it comes to Erie County. Am I right or wrong? To ask the question, who is this individual that replaced you without you blowing up? In my face and asking me, why would I ask that question? And do I stay in that district? Well, number one, I'm a taxpayer in Erie County. I'm a taxpayer in Buffalo. I'm a taxpayer in New York State and the United States. I can ask any question I want when you're spending my money. Because this is our money that they're paid by. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
So don't get it twisted. And a lot of times when these people get these positions, they feel like they're doing us a favor working it.
Was it Howard that blew up at you?
Yeah, he blew up at me.
Not good, Howard.
Yeah.
Shame.
Thank you, for me being able to bring this to people's attention. Now, I have other people in the community that work very hard, that have these jobs, and they work very hard at it. And they work very hard at getting us programs, and side money. And most of the people that the news media bring on when it comes to this community is people that work for somebody in government. We never see individuals from this community. It's always somebody the news media go to. What?
Yeah, they bring on the non-boat rockers. They won't rock the boat.
No.
They won't drop a clue. They won't say nothing until they get in trouble or get stuck. Then they come to the community. Look what they're doing to me.
Thank you.
Sell out.
So how dare them, tell me that I shouldn't, ask the question. Who is this individual that y'all play musical chairs with? All of a sudden, we had all these individuals get themselves raises. Well, it's in Buffalo. We picked $40 million in debt, but they're giving $20,000 raises. It's in Erie County. I forgot how many millions in debt, but they're giving themselves raises.
They went in. It's interesting. When they chose to run for the position, they claimed to be running to do something for the people on policy. And then soon as they get in, the first thing they holler, well, we should get paid more for this work. And that's the principal thing for them. But the work on policy for the people, there is none. And you mentioned Howard Johnson, and the sad thing about Howard is that the people that elected him didn't even know that he was going to abandon them. And that's the problem. If you're elected to serve in a position, serve out the term. Don't go window shopping. And then to step away from serving the people and not into another actual legislative type job of serving the people went to work for the party, working up at the Board of Elections.
Because he's the one who picked people in our community. We don't even pick them. And then, they'll buy, go buy some of our highest officials and not even inform them of what's going on.
Well, it comes back to the people. The problem is with we the people and how we use the electoral process. We don't use it in our best interest because we don't get candidates that are willing to serve in our best interest.
No, we don't.
We don't get candidates that go in there and take the agenda of the community. They go in there talking about what they thinking they want to do and stuff. That's not enough. You have to have what is the mandate that the community wants and work on that. You can bring in your other ideas, but there's clear things that the community wants done. They don't address that. They go in and they take the low-hanging fruit. They don't. Many of them don't even do the job that level of position calls for. They go in. They have a job that calls for them to do something more high-tech, like, and they decide to do something that everybody in the community is already doing. You don't need to do that. You don't need to have another reading program when people in the community doing it. Yeah, you gonna do it. You think because putting your elected name on it gonna make it so much better?
Thank you.
It's skills that you need in the person that's gonna teach reading and help folks in any capacity. So you don't need to do what people are already doing. You need to deal with moving policy that locks us in strongly and provides the support we need. I don't know how many of them know how to write a law.
Oh,
So that's the question on hand. Now we have Austin here from a young man's perspective, who I respect highly. And Austin, I mean, how do you feel about when we appoint people to position and it doesn't go out to our community? Is it the same old status quo that you've been hearing as you grew up? How do you feel about that?
Well, good morning. And for me, my first election, I think my big one, if I could think back to being a young man, was I remember when Donald Trump got elected the first time, because I was just hearing in my ear in school, oh man, this is a joke, man. Anybody running nowadays, this ain't gonna happen. And I came downstairs and I was going to school that day. And my mom was just sitting on the couch and she's like, yeah, Trump won. And I'm like, what? And I think at that point I noticed the shift in just voting mindset from, and we talked about it on the show before, for personalities instead of policies. And I think in order to do that, I'm even going back to when we had the comptroller on the show, one thing that politicians will often say is they're not going to raise taxes. Now we all know with inflation, that's not possible. It's not financially possible.
Right.
But like you said, it comes down to us as the voters, because politicians will say what they need to get into the office. That's just the truth. You got to say what you have to say to get into the office. And so when they're saying these things, in order for us as a community to say that we want better politicians, better people in office, it requires two things. One, it requires us to truly think about and us take the power back from them to say that this system runs from us outward, not from them downward. And so to that point, we have to be a lot more careful in who we're electing and what we need to hear. But I think the second piece that then comes along with in a package is, and this is the question that I'm going to start asking more and more continuously, is do the members in our community, elder-wise and youth-wise, have the skills communicationally to be able to even express and advocate for what we want? Do I see the average person that I walk to? I work at Northland. And speaking of which, if you guys are free in the community, every Thursday from 5 to 7, come over to North in the food truck Thursday, because we get opportunities into the community, real trade jobs. We're trying to get people family sustaining wages. But to that point, I'm out in the community and I'm tabling. I had 5 events last week. I was tabling in almost every corner of the community. And guess what I'm hearing a lot of? You'll say we don't want a reading program, but when they put a reading program in front of us, we clap our hands and say it's good. So you have to decide as community members, do our youth have the questions to ask? Do our elders have the mindset and the communication skills to identify what's important even to us? Because if you're an elder who doesn't talk to young people, you're going to think a reading program is good. And you're going to keep thinking a reading program is good. But it requires a different level of conversation and attention that I think that it's really easy for us to talk about. But the conversation on the table needs to be, does the average voter in Buffalo want to put that much work in? Because it's easier when I just take the hot dog and check the box. But now you want me to go research? You want me to go actually research policy and compare voters? You want me to challenge my own opinion? Because my voting law that I've always heard from every person I've asked, every elder, is vote Blue Cross. And look where that got us.
That's right.
And look where that got us.
Yes.
And so to that point, I'm not saying that's wrong, but you have a generation of young people who don't have the questions to ask, to know how to vote, or to be able to decipher and discern through these political voting options. Because you've never been taught how to vote.
Go ahead, young man.
You've been told to vote blue. And so I think we really need to ask ourselves, That wasn't her. That wasn't her.
Who was it?
My mom.
Was it mom?
It was elders above mom. It was
Yes.
people above mom. Even
Yeah.
people that again,
Generational.
generational.
Yeah, let's
and the
go there.
rhetoric that we hear, and I'm
Yes.
not going to continue talking. I'm going to pass
That's
it back
good.
over
That's
to you. But
heavy.
the rhetoric that I continue to hear, and you'll hear it, maybe not even now as big in the spotlight because now you don't want to be politically disengaged. That's like a bad thing now.
Yes.
But you know what you'll hear? You'll hear, yeah, man, vote, vote, vote. And then as soon as they turn around, but they ain't going to do nothing anyways.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is that young people are listening.
That's right.
I hear it slip through the cracks. It ain't gonna make no difference.
Yeah.
I got people in my church who I believe it ain't gonna make no difference. These are the elders who've been around.
Teach,
So that
bro.
when you're talking about the buffalo that used to be, remember, I've never seen it. So
Ooh.
if this is what I've been born into, why would I ever vote local?
Come on, come
You know
on.
something, young fella, and this is why I work so hard. I was telling a young lady that work over into the library just the other day. Someone had stepped to me and said, you seem to appear to be angry when you speak to people. Well, I am. I am. Can you imagine? I've been voting since I was 18 years old. Haven't missed one. Well, in New York State, when I was out of the state, I was out of the state for years. Then I voted wherever I was at. But for me to come up and for you to see the same thing that I've seen and no changes in the 60s, when over here on Elmwood, they can build 8 brand new buildings, complexes, you know what I'm saying, where people can live in with stores underneath of them in 2.5 years. And I get 2 buildings on Jefferson and Best that look like prisons. All you have to do is put the bars up. And I'm supposed to sit there and say that's acceptable to me and to young people in this neighborhood. You wonder why violence. And I worked in law enforcement. Besides, people say, well, what have you done? Well, I worked for the school system for almost 30 years too. Well, I was the head pastor of all the schools. Went to every school in Buffalo. Had to do work on. You know what was funny about that? I just want to skip for a minute. And funny about that, I had to have a certificate. I had to have a tradesman certificate come from the union. You know what I'm saying? I was a journeyman. But in the Buffalo Board of Education today, you know what they do if you're white? And I went downtown and fought for some brothers they had fired and replaced them with non-union people that worked for a job 5 years and said that was their qualification. But when you're black, you had to have all the paperwork to be able to get those jobs down here. I'm talking about journeyman jobs, field workers, for instance, electricians and different things where I'm talking about the union doing right now, plumbers, you know what I'm saying, electricians, carpenters, you see, steel workers, you see what I'm saying, cement masons, not these garbage jobs that they give us saying you go through a 6-week program, come on back out and we're going to see if the union will hire you. So we want trade jobs, not slave jobs. I'm sick of this, and we see it, and we don't think we deserve it. Every time you see one of us, we got a flag in our hand. But you'll see a white woman out there doing the trade job, cementing, and everything else. I'm sick of it. And then we ask our politicians that we vote for, supposed to have our interests at heart. When we step to them and say this ain't happening, they act like we done said something wrong to them, and like they're bigger than we are. No one's bigger than the people in this community.
So what happened when you asked the question about? Well, we know the person that's in office right now is appointed, Lawrence Dupree. That's his name. I know him, very well. And you asked the question, and you said, "How come you didn't go with other folks?" And then,
but they laughed. I mentioned your name. They laughed.
Yeah, and doing community work.
Yeah,
right, for years.
Yeah,
right?
I mentioned your name, and a few others they laughed. Like you went out here. I see you out here every day on the battlefield. They laughed.
So is it because of fear this happens that they don't want folks that look like me, walk like me, or talk like me in office? That's going to be about community, Mr. Anderson?
Well, I think it's sort of like in math when you're doing fractions. We're talking about the lowest common denominator.
All right.
And so when you look at the party, and the party is appointing people, you say, okay, so who all is involved with that kind of lift? Again, it comes back to the people from our community that supposedly go to represent us. What I'm talking about now is committee men.
Yes, there we go.
Because that is the key. The party, when you become a committee man in a particular party, then that don't resolve or take away your responsibility to represent the community. Just because you now a committee man, you're still running on behalf of the community. You need support from the community.
But if if you're a committee person and everyone is like what Austin is saying is voting across the line, then you have no say so. You just following politics.
See, that's why we have to send them in there with fire in their veins already. They should have it. They need to go in there. They know that the way that it's operating is not correct, and they know that they're hearing cries of the community. We want some real action on the community side. They shouldn't go in there and just wait and be told like they're some kind of puppy what to do, what they can't do. They should go in there already clear what's required in the job and ready to go. They go in there, all these cats that's talking about, I shouldn't call people cats. Many persons who are running for positions, they want to run. They haven't thought about what the job they're running for requires. A lot of time you hear them talk about what they're going to do, and what they're talking about belongs in another field, not where they at.
That's right.
You hear a lot of people run for the city council, and the first thing they want to say is what they're going to do to help the school. You ain't going to do much. Because if you ain't already working on school stuff to show some idea, you don't have, that's just talk. They're not going to do anything. The schools have their own structure unless you're giving them money. And if you're giving them money, you're not doing that much because you ain't going to have that much money to give them.
They got the biggest budget. School has the biggest budget.
Right. And they got a lot of work to do. So for people running for council to act like they're going to do so much around the school district, get out of here.
Hey, Jim, I should be a committeeman. And I had one of them all high votes, too, My number was very high when I went into those meetings. And just what you said, people go along to get along.
Yeah.
And then I'm one of those rebels. So I'm like, no, I'm not just going to go along. When Champion was there, so they have to step to me and the other people that may not agree who they want to put in that position and try to make an agreement with us.
See.
You see what I'm saying? Or try to figure out some kind of way how they can wiggle us out because, see, we're not in their crew. I ain't going to never be in nobody's crew. I'm in the community.
No, you don't have to be in the crew, but the
Jim,
job, let me tell you,
Just
I'll
what you
finish
said
this
is
piece on the committee person thing. The committee people, they slide around late in the season just before election to get people who they get enough friends to sign so they can be on the ballot and get in. And most people don't even know who they are and don't know what they do. And they don't say nothing. If you're running for a committee seat, you should be talking in the community about why and what you're doing and what you will go in there and take it in there with your ideas from the community. Even talking about more black candidates. Why is it so hard to get black candidates for the party to select the ones that community want? They wait until they find somebody that'll duck walk for them.
So we on the Shake Up Show. We're doing a Shake Up on the Jim Anderson Show, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about Kamala Harris as vice. She is the vice president now, going for presidency, and the talk around the town is we haven't seen any literature out on her. Signage that you could put in your windows, things like that. Their offices being made up. What we waiting on, and I believe someone told me they're waiting on the Democratic Party to nominate her. I think it's officially on August the 19th. But should we be waiting when all this funding and money is coming down the pipeline? There's millions and millions and billions of dollars going towards it. And why should we be waiting to put up a sign saying, Harris for president? So that is the topic right now. I'm trying to figure that out. How do we get moving in that direction? And usually it's like with our local politicians, they bring out information very early. And here we are, we waiting. It's less than 4 months from where we at.
Keeping the issue before. Yeah, I mean, this is the beautiful thing about the Palestinian community, the American Palestinian community, and particularly in Michigan. They are holding a position that until something stronger is done by her and her upcoming administration to change what's happening, to create a ceasefire, to stop sending weapons to Israel, they're staunch on that. And I think that what we could learn from that is on things that we know are important for our community, that should be a line drawn in the sand for those who are running for any position to represent the community.
You're absolutely correct.
And for those that are not doing their job, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. Right. We shouldn't be afraid to call them out. And really, when it comes time to vote again, vote them out. In fact, I'm one that believe we should take out some of these weak ones.
Thank you.
That ain't necessarily done anything against you, but if they ain't done nothing for you, what they there for?
Well, you said something earlier in the program as far as them. It's like we have to go to them. Why shouldn't they come as a community? If he's sitting up in that office, you know what I'm saying, and supposed to be represented. I was also told I didn't live in the district, but like I said earlier, I'm a taxpayer, so it shouldn't matter. But he's supposed to be out here letting us know what his ideas is, what his plans are for this community. Why should we always have to step to them? But they don't have any because they move their friends into position. This young man said something earlier in the program about we just go straight across blue.
Yes.
We don't care. They just have us mindsets where we go straight across blue. We can't do that anymore. We can't do. We have to vote our interests. And our interest is our community should look even better than some of the other ones by our tax money. Every young person, when you say something to a young person now, or you talk to them, what they say, well, them young people don't work. Every time I turn around, I see young people working. I see people doing things in our community. You see, so I'm not going to blame less than 1% of blacks in America committing the crimes. And if y'all hear my passion, I'm so sorry because people say that I'm too passionate and I'm this and that way. But I love this community. I love the young people
I say
in this
roar.
community.
You never stop a
I
lion.
love
Roar.
the young people in this community. I have to fight for them. You know, I had a program, Jim, and you had asked me, Jim, boy, he charged me up one time. I mean, he really did. I mean, no, I have to give it to him because you know something? When you're fighting and you're wrong, you see what I'm saying? Somebody needs to take, hey, man, wait a minute. You got to stop and pull up and do this. But then when you right, somebody needs to say, hey, you know, you're doing a good job too.
Respect.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's respect. People ask me, well, why you don't have respect for certain people? Because you ain't earned nothing from me. So no, I don't care. And me and Jim, we've had some little run-ins, but the truth of the matter is, wait a minute, he made me better than me. He made
man
me,
up
We
and
made
came on
it,
the show.
it make it, you know, when you have these disagreements, you can either go away and be mad forever, or you can go away and learn from it. In the midst of sometimes wanting to get your point across, you hear, but you ain't paying attention to what you're hearing because you want to get your point across.
Right.
And sometimes it take after that for it to like, yeah, that was right. I was just thinking as you were talking back in the day, we used the term about pull my coat. You know, when they pull your coat, pull your coat is like if you're going on court, like if you're doing something, if you're saying something that ain't right, somebody pull your coat to hip you. You know, and it's no different than the various slang stuff that more young people understand, which is like coded message. But you know, pulling your coat, that means somebody is letting you know, pulling you back from jumping out there too foolish. And we need to do that. But we need to pull some of these folks who are serving an elected office out.
that's right.
So November the 5th is the date of the election. Basically, folks, people have been calling and asking, when is the election? I just had a show here yesterday and on the lightsabers, and our youth didn't know when was the election. And you know, it's not their fault, but they not there. Like Austin, you were saying earlier, so some of the young folks is like, why?
The party don't teach.
Yes.
The
Why?
Yeah.
So where we at
electors
with
don't
that, you know?
teach.
Where we at with that, brother?
I was going to say, when you're talking about, you know, we have a week to wait on some signs, I'm going to tell y'all from a youth perspective, if y'all waiting on signs, it's too late. Like, if signs ain't going to change our mindset or get us aware,
Nigga.
I promise you, I always go back to this concert because it just changed the way I looked at Buffalo. I never saw Buffalo move like this. Drake didn't need signs when he came to Buffalo.
Say it.
People knew. We were talking about it.
Playing and
So
all,
to
right?
that point, I think that even when we were talking about like a community champion, I think it's kind of like that's a deeper issue than it seems, right? We want someone's going to raise up in the community and be a voice for us,
Right.
but that requires our community to have unconditional support,
Yeah.
right? Because I can only be willing to fight against the tide when I'm sure that I got some safety,
Yeah.
right? The only reason I can be out in the community and try to chase my dream and try to really help the community is because I have a household of a mother and a father and a family around me who love and support me and will be there to support me even if the community wasn't. And so to that point, I think the question has to be, as people ourselves, would we even have the grace for someone that were to try to walk into that role? If they were to slip, could we help them up or would we keep pulling them down? Because what I've seen from my people, terrible as it sounds, is we love to kick someone while they down. Because it's on the body. It's on the body. Because everybody looking for their 5 seconds of fame. So some people be thinking, when you go down, I'm going to get up. But I'm gonna continue my point after the break. We're going to commercial. Stay with us.
Look like
We'll
a big
see.
hand was up in there.
You know something? You know, some young fella, when I fought for those people in the board of education, right after that, I went down there twice fighting for the position. Jim, you know.
Pull your mic around.
Oh, no, we don't commercial break.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
Jim, when I went down there, I went a couple of times and I talked to Dr. Cash and he hit me with all this sort of stuff. And we had the head of the tradesman, not the tradesman, but the head of our department, you know, with all the trades and different things and laborers there with us. I can't think of his name at the time. But after I did that and went down a couple of times and hollered and screamed, they got mad and said, no, you're not going to do this. Just like you look out for white folks, I look out for black folks. Guess what the Italians did to me? They put a rat on my car. They left me with a rat on top of my Cadillac. I say that. You know, they came by to see where I stayed at, and then they put a rat on it. And so when I went to that meeting with Dr. Cash, I brought that up. You ain't got to put no rat on my car. You can come see me. And that's what you talk about. Who have our back? when we get out there. And sometimes we have to stand alone. This man been standing on a long time. He been standing along a long time. It gets hard.
Right.
It gets
Now
hard.
it's you.
Right.
See, it's going to you quickly. I see him out on doing stuff at the Norfolk corridor, and I'm like, I got to get my youth to come and visit. So can you call me? Let me know when they can come for a tour this week or next week, Monday, after 1 o'clock the tour. But they need to see a person like you giving the tour. Yeah. So now it's a buy-in because they'll see a young person instead of this old person. Like when you go to a museum back in the day, you seen that old guy coming up telling you about the dinosaur. You're like, oh man, he's so boring. But if you got that young person going, they can see themselves in you, and that's what we want to try to do.
No, it's that, and that's what we're talking about. I'm gonna continue talking about it, but that's so important. That's so key, right? Not only are we then seeing the person that we want to have go ahead, but it allows others to feel like a community has trust in them, and we have to demonstrate that on who we're trying to raise up. I don't think, as a speaker myself, I've been speaking for 2 years after high school. Dude, literally, people would expect me to speak for free all the time. First time I ever heard money, I was like, oh my gosh, you're actually gonna pay me to speak? And so it goes back to that original question. We want to raise up a community champion, but if you had a young person who said, I'm willing to put my college dreams on the side to speak for a community, but you would still make me speak free for every day if I never asked for it. So do you really want to help me progress, or do you like the idea of a community champion? Would you really be there if I were to fall, or do you like the idea of a community champion? I think we as a people have a deeper question to even ask of. It's fine if someone falls if they're always staying true to the message. I don't even think we as a people have a clear message of what we want. We don't really know what we represent.
Yo, some of us do. For instance, every week he gets on. So don't miss on. Every week he gets on and he speaks on messages that really resonate with us. Your problem is you don't see us doing anything. So therefore, you understand what I'm saying? You feel this is
into your stuff. Find Skechers workout walker for men and women at a Skechers store. Skechers.com.
I say this like I say because I keep seeing you talk. But if we can't pass it on, you do what it is. You know something? Every individual that we ever had that fought for us in this country died. Did you know that? From Medgar Evers to Martin Luther King to Malcolm X. You see what I'm saying? I can go on and on and on. Everyone that stood up. Because you know something, they didn't stand up for the money. They stood up for us. You see? So this right here, this work that we do, you see, it's not that we even get a lot of money. We do it because of the love of the people. But guess what? You'll be blessed in so many ways. You see, just by helping these people.
And we hopping back on it. And now we're gonna continue talking about what we was talking about, because over the break, if you guys are, and we have a caller we're gonna get to in a second. If you guys don't get a chance, check on one of our Facebook lives because we're on Facebook Live. But to finish what I was saying before we go to the phones, this is what I was saying is as a community, do we have the grace for the champion that we say we want? If we were to get someone that were to rise up and say, hey, I'm going to fight for us in the positions, I'm going to turn the tide, I'm going to rock the boat, I'm willing to. Let's say they were to slip out the boat while rocking it. Will we be willing to extend a hand and pull them out the water? Or are we going to laugh as the boat continues to go along? If they needed help and support, are we willing to sacrifice ourselves for the greater good? Imagine there was a politician running right now, a young man who wanted to run. And he said, I just need $1 from everybody that looks like me in the community, and I have enough to run. Do you think he could even get that money to run? I wouldn't say so. And so the question has to become, would we be willing to do what it takes to have the representative that we say we want? I think we need to really ask ourselves that. And if that's the case, what would they even be representing? I don't even think we have a clear, concise message on that, but I'm going to get to the phones, then I'll let us kind of talk about that after. Phone caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Caller, you're on.
Hello?
Hi. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to thank you for having this topic today. And I would like to say that I'm a block club president. And same thing with block club. We're working differently with different sections of the city instead of working together on all these issues we have in the city. I would like for you all to come out tomorrow to MLK Park on the East Parade side and join us. We got a couple block clubs that's coming together to see what anyone would like to discuss about our community, how we can work together and make us back like we were, the city of good neighbors.
What's the block clubs?
I was great to you that. It's just 3 block clubs, and we'll be there from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's our national night out because we didn't have it last week because it rained. So I would love to see you guys there, and we can bring these comments out in because the community needs to hear this. Thank you, Murray, for reminding me of the show today. Because I've been doing so much and I miss you guys, but I love hearing what the community is saying because you guys are absolutely right. We have people in position, but if you don't dance to their music, you're not going to get no assistance. Mm-hmm. We all know that's how it is. But who's going to step up and get out of that boat? So we have to come together as a community. It starts with us.
Yes, indeed.
We have to look at elected officials because once we come together, it's more power in the people when we're together than apart.
It's as simple as that.
See you guys tomorrow.
Got you, dear.
God bless you.
Thank you. You know, this morning, I actually was going to come in and announce. I won't announce it, but I'll tell you what's on my mind. I was thinking, I was like, look, I'm sick and tired of us having people run for office who don't carry the juice, who don't have their sense of what the drumbeat is, and go in there to dance for the party, or go in there to try and be friends with the party, which is not what one should do. And I wrestled with this over the weekend. I was gonna come in and announce it. I'm actually considering throwing my hat in the ring to run.
All right.
And
shake up. This is on the shake up.
Yeah, it's a shake up. And then I thought about Harold Washington in Chicago when he ran.
It's always Chicago.
Yeah, when he ran, the people, what he wanted, if the people behind him and so forth, they came because they said, we want you to run for mayor. Mm-hmm. And he told them, well, you get board chefs and crew, and I'll be your candidate. And so all I'm saying, community, if you're really ready to make a charge, like Austin was saying, I'm willing to step out there. And I would want to have a young person rolling along with me to be ready to step into those positions. If we don't take young people with us, they won't get there. And if we don't start pushing back on the system the way it is blocking out the community, we won't get there. So I feel like I'm a wall knocker downer.
Yes.
And community, if you see me around, you let me know.
So are you going to run for if the position come up for legislature, because you're in that district, right? That district is it the first district or third district? And so that's what we need to
and one of the things is that we're in serious time.
Yes.
I won't push as long as we have a candidate that can step up there more than what I've been seeing on the horizon so far. Mm-hmm. But
and I'll be willing to help you.
I feel now. And before I get off the mic, let me just tell you, about the money part. When I was growing up here in the city, often in our community, the people didn't necessarily have the money.
Right.
And even in the absence of the money, they had a in the meantime plan.
Yes.
And that was sticking together with physical support
and family.
Doing the kind of underground passing of the message, reminding people, hey, look, vote for someone, and who the one to vote for.
Yes.
And I'm saying we can get back to that. I'm not seeking a job, mm-hmm. but I'm willing to work on behalf of our community. So anyway, community is out there. I'm gonna shut up.
You shook it up,
and
you shake it now.
I've been looking to hear from y'all. Wherever you see me, and for anybody else that's thinking about run. That's right. See, I believe our community has a lot of people who are qualified to run, and it's up to the people to pick. You're not losing. When you have qualified individuals, so you got a selection. Now it's up to the picker.
I think Vice President Harris is doing the same thing right now when she went and reached out to Obama's camp. There were a lot of young folks in his camp when he went for presidency, and now they're reaching out in that direction because I believe that President Biden crew was like elders. I mean, they've been in the game so long, not taking anything from them, but the direction is totally different now. The AI is in command right now and things like that there. And so now elections is a little bit different. So the only way you can do this is to have the youth coming in, because you know what? And I give Christian People Stokes that, because Leah worked for Mark Boyd. She always had a younger crew of folks that was with her, and then they move into those slots.
And that's
that's crucial.
I think
crucial.
yeah, and I can guarantee the community this: if I'm elected to an office, anyone working in my office will be working for the community. I believe anyone in elected office, you got an office. When you can't be somewhere, that's what you got staff for. To be there, to interact on your behalf. And so you need smart staff.
That's
you don't
what
need,
Holt used to do.
you don't need staff that just going to figure out, I'm sitting here all day, and who get a little arrogant when, like you come in, if you ask it, and you're like, well, who are you? You got to be somebody. And look, if you live in a district where that elected is and you're trying to see that person, you ought to be able to see them.
Right.
If you were given a whole bunch of money, they wouldn't question you. They'll know you at the money giver, and they'll just automatically set up an appointment for you. So we need to quit short stopping each other. And those of you that work in any part of an electoral process,
don't be scared.
Your job is not to hold back the community, is to pull them forward.
Or just go for the money.
So what we are with we just had a big major event here. I don't know if you guys went to it. University District had a nice event with Robin Thicke and Silk and music, and was there. And that event was, I seen Black folks coming out and having a great time. And right there at the UB campus, right there. And then I looked and I was like, okay, great to have that going. But then when you ride down the street, there's no growth going, no businesses going, no entrepreneurship. And I'm like, we got to take that money and tunnel it.
You see Bailey Avenue.
Yeah, Bailey Avenue.
You see it in the community
then you
store.
want to reduce the street, and yet still now I'm trying to figure out how much money was laid out for that. But it was a great event. I'm not knocking the event.
No.
It's just that I'm just saying that we have to be mindful. We still, after the end of the day, we go back to our own communities and our silos of poverty, and that there and say, wow, it was worth it. And I know mothers get ready to tune in on that one. Yes.
And I want to comment on it. I'm going to swing it over to you just because that commented on me, that hit on me too. But
yes, sir.
To that point, you come out to events like that, you see all of us out there, but the question has to be, even when it comes to elected officials, what is it that we represent? I had asked that before we went to, I think I asked when we got back, what do we represent? Oftentimes, the only thing that brings us together is either spontaneous fun or it's extreme fun, which brings anybody together. Let's keep in mind, you have a concert, a lot of people going to come. Number one. Number two, what brings us together for that in the meantime time? Because what it sounds like is a lot of times it's simply just suffering, right? We'll suffer, have a thing that brings us together. We unite over the suffering. We unite over a killing. We hear about Floyd. We'll hear about Sonia Macy, and we'll immediately go back to our immediate silos until the wait till the next suffering comes. And in my answer, what I've came to the conclusion of, because I asked it for week after week, and finally I was sitting with my dad talking one day, and I was like, he was like, it's resilience. I said, I don't like that word. He said, why not? What's wrong with resilience? I said, it's like I just get beat up real well. That's what resilience is. I just get beat up well. That's not a word I want to hear from my people, but the word I want to use is creation. I think we are a creative people. And I'm looking back even from the start of it. If you get back to if you finish your work for the day and Master gave you scraps, you was going to make dinner, right? Then we talk about leaving out of there. We working for pennies trying to build things. That's creation. When you hear about Tulsa and things of that nature, you hear about creation. Even now in the modern time, hip hop ain't going to last. Now it's popular and they marketing off of it, right? Or that fashion ain't going to last and now they market off of it. And every time they take something, it always seems like there's something else for them to take. It's got to be creation to me. But to walk in that, to be able to be and have the light of that requires us all to be on that same accord. And to me, like I said, if you walk down the street and ask the average person in our city, what do Black people represent? I'll be surprised they have an answer for you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
When you walk out and you see other people in your community,
You.
when you walk out and see other people in your community besides yourself owning these business, what do you think? What come to mind?
I'm not gonna lie, I get a little upset, especially with the bodega situation. I feel like we let everybody take advantage of us. We make the most money and we spend the most money. And I feel like it comes down to when I seen stores back in the day, like a Mandela's, people would talk about it. Again, to me, it goes back to creation. And I look at our modern situation when we look at how we spend our money as a creative people who are paying for their own invention.
Wow.
That's what it looked like to me.
You know something? I had brought to one of our national talk shows a theory. You know, in Buffalo, for instance, what happened 5 years ago, we had immigrants moving into our cities and buying up all the property. Then 6 months ago, they had in the newspaper how they redlined black folks from getting those same businesses. Even when they had the best of credit, they would find a way to stop us from getting them. So it doesn't even fall on us, it falls on the banks and how they treat us, even though we put money in it. And no one's talking about suing the banks. No one's talking about further investigation about that. But this is what they did to us. But when our young people walk out, they don't see us. And this is why they're upset. They need to see us owning those stores. But they made it a point. And we're supposed to be all right with that. We're not supposed to say anything because we as Christians are supposed to love everybody. But none of those people spend any money with us, come to any of our events, or deal with us in any kind of way, except for us being what? Consumers. And we have to stop being consumers.
Okay.
Got mother in there now.
No, because this is a hot spot for me. So the election, Kamala, I don't know what we're waiting for because I'm telling you right now, I walk every day and there's a Trump sign that has been on the corner of my street since 2016, and he updated it to the new election. Because if we were really behind her, just like we all find shirts for that Bills game that we lost on Saturday, we will all have Kamala shirts that we pay for.
Yes.
We always waiting for somebody to give us something.
All this money they got.
Secondly, as a person who is launching a community center and trying to set a standard of excellence, I have begged, I have cried, I have done everything, but do you know who's pouring out the money to me?
Say it.
Not people who look like me.
Come on.
You know, the people that's coming to volunteer in our neighborhood and not asking for a dime, nobody looks like me, but you know who wants to use the space for free? Everybody that looks like me. So I think it's a mindset thing. It's a mindset thing. God gives us everything we desire. He ain't creating nothing new. He will use whoever says yes. But if our mindset is always, how can I hustle instead of how can I help? That's why we sit there and get the scraps. It's nothing different between white folks and us, except for they come together. Money talks. We can get mad at the banks, but these Bangladesh, they're not going to the banks. The Jewish people, they're not going to the banks. They're collectively coming together, pooling their resources for a common cause. Where is that happening in our community? So I'm saying that as a person who's not in this room talking, but who is actively doing things to launch another successful STEAM camp, to open up a community center and trying to do things with a different mindset. And all I keep getting for the majority of the people that I'm speaking to is resistance.
So where's this community center?
There's a phone call. Here you go.
Because I need to know how we can get involved and help you out
Sunk right
on
in.
that. We will be talking. This is my first time really hearing you say that. And I know we got a caller, but it's important to give her back the mic so she can get this address out. Yes, and so we can know, because now the line's gonna be pouring. People gonna come in.
But what I'm saying is this is the blessing. Like, we're serving 32 kids for this camp that's been fully funded. Now we need more money for the building,
Right.
But I feel like it is a privilege that I want the next level is 80 Durham. It's the Jeff E. Carter Community Center. If we're reopening it, it's an extension of Ephesus Ministries. It's honoring the pastor's heart. He did not want his name on that building. I insisted because he's another silent, I would say silent soldier who does a lot of things, but I want to honor him because this is an extension of his heart. And so we have a building that's paid for. So all that we're doing is trying to provide excellence for these kids in this community, meeting them where they are. But I'm just saying, in my frustration, it's not us. When I need my volunteers and I ask the people in church, I'm sorry, we're going to let the caller go. It's not those people who are always saying yes, but I promise you, when I make my call this week and I say I need X amount of people, X amount of dollars, X amount of resources, it's going to be all these people from other communities. And then people are going to say to me, why you keep giving those white folks jobs? I'm not giving them nothing. They're serving.
Our folks.
I'm going to go to the caller. Yeah, caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm calling to make the comment what Sister just said. I would love to get that information. Did you say 80 Durham?
Yes.
Yep, 80 Durham.
Okay, I will be there to support you. I am an African American sister. I feel your frustration because I've been out for 15 years promoting cancer awareness. And most of my volunteers have been African American, and they come and go. So I feel you saying, and we too are in the same situation with funding, but we were blessed we will have our cancer house, and we will have our prayer. There will be some time when we have our prayer August 25th. But I want to thank you so much for saying that, because it is hard to get volunteers to help a community-based organization.
Amen.
That's part of it. We continue to organize, and we got to keep doing in our community about service to raise us is a necessity. You can't, look, if you're a person of color, I don't care what condition you in, you can't run through the world expecting people to give you and do for you. You got to help somebody, because you're going to get help, but you got to help in some kind of way. And we've been slack on that. And part of that is a reason why we have to raise our organizing in the community to get people to understand there's that much ignorance out there.
Yes.
They can hear the call and they think it's not for them. It is for you. Anyway, we got a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Anderson.
Good morning, Dr. Doyle.
How you doing, Dr. Doyle?
Yes, I love your conversation, and I really appreciate Brother Austin's using the word creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word I have used for almost 50 years. You know, I want to share, I always like to share a little history, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Mom.
When Jesse Jackson ran for president, he ran in 1984, 1988.
Yep.
Before he ran,
Yep.
right, they had a huge meeting.
That's right.
Chicago, of Black people from all levels, from all political ideas, they came together to push him. So that was an awe-inspiring event. So we need to go back and listen and read our history.
Yes, indeed.
And you know, one of the reasons they made the auditorium after me, that Mr. Anderson, was because I did more than 100 community programs in that library, helping our young people. I just wanted to share that information. Thanks for the conversation. You have a good conversation this morning.
Thank you for sharing. And you know, when we had a presidential election and Jesse Jackson first ran,
yes,
you know, we didn't have the blessings of the parties and all that. It was the people rising up, understanding we could raise ourselves, and that's what we have to keep doing. Coming together, we can raise ourselves.
That's right.
But I think your location was the same location, Miss Evil Doyle and Jim Anderson, is the same place where the Meriwether Library is built at. Push was there, I remember it. That's when you guys used to have hair like Austin's. You had the pics in it. But that location was right there on Jefferson and Utica, because that was the era that we came up in. It was young folks, Austin, that was going out and registered, coming out of high school, getting ready to register to vote. Right now, Stop the Violence Coalition has a plan of doing this Friday in front of the Meriwether Library, registered folks to vote. We're going to be in front of the Meriwether Library from 4 o'clock to 5:45, registering people to vote. We're not telling you who you got to be, a Democrat, Republican, but just register your vote. It's called I Vote to Make a Difference, and we're bringing that back out this Friday at the Meriwether Library, in front of the Meriwether Library, before my dad and them do their Funk Fest.
Hey, we got another call, and we're going to go right back to the air. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, hi. I'd like to ask a question. I love the radio show, and I listen to it every week. And you talk about the politicians, but you never say who is doing what. You say the politicians not doing it. You never give a specific name, and then when it's time to vote, how do you supposed to know who to vote for if they don't do anything? You never tell us who's doing what.
You're right, but listen to me. I call names. I mean, I call Howard Johnson, because I think that's a terrible thing to get elected and then abandon those who elected you without any conversation with them.
And then
I call out the mayor.
Right.
I'll call out all the council people. I don't mind calling out their name. I would rather be calling out in support of them. But I can't support people who don't show real support for the community and show more support for the party. A victory for the party is not a victory for the community. And so I'll take it, and I'm sure all of us will take it to mind that you want to hear names when we start saying politicians. And I'll ask that of any guests that are in here when they say them politicians, we'll say, which ones? Would that work for you, dear?
Well, when I asked the question, they blew up on me. Like,
thank you for pushing that forward. Thanks for pushing that forward.
You know, when I asked the question, they put their chest on them. We had to tell them to take their out your chest because I could care less. You know, and it was Howard Johnson. And someone asked me what I do in this community. Well, you know, some young fella, every year for about 10 years, guess what? I made sure about 20 young people went to summer camp free. You know, that's another thing people didn't know about. You can ask Betty about that. You see what I'm saying? I was always out there for my young people. I had over 40 young people, you said, that went to one of my programs with the sheriff department. Guess what? They're council people now. No, excuse me. They're council for the county, you know, for mental health. I've had them, it's a sheriff deputies. I've had them Buffalo police officers. You see what I'm saying? I can go on, have them nurse. Matter of fact, I had one of my young ladies. She's the first Black female supervisor at Tesla. Isn't that something? She was one of my exposed, one of the people that I mentored. You know, so we do have them out there, and people ask, but I don't have to put it out there what I do. I just do the work, and some of us that saw, like this young lady here, Beverly Newkirk, right now, she had a program in the jail. I helped her get that program. Well, she helped prisoners.
Takes a village.
It takes a village. Well, I helped her get that program. And so people want to question me about what I do. I don't have to because God blesses me. I don't need nothing from nobody. I just need your strength and brothers like Jim Anderson here to allow me to come on and voice my opinion that I really appreciate. And I'm going to be passionate and I'm going to speak up because I want you to be and have more than what you have. And thank you, Jim.
And to that point, I appreciate hearing that. And I think the passion on it speaks volumes as to it is that important to you. I think when you are operating from a place of scarcity, you get what my mom reflected. You get what we hear reflected in elected office. And that's why I think the shift in mindset has to be so radical to say that until we believe there's enough for all of us, we're always going to be fighting for crumbs because we feel like we need them.
That's right.
But when we move from a place of creativity, even though Dr. Eva Doyle thought the same thing because great minds think alike. It is creation. We got to keep thinking that as long as we are here, we can create, we can see another day, and then we can ride together to make political change. Then we can ride together to make things happen. But what I see reflected in the young people is I don't got time to be worried about the election because I got to eat. And the president not going to get me mine. So that's the mindset we have to get away from. And that change comes from a change in mindset. So we can't do punching dummies. Our best trait can't be resilience or suffering. It has to be something else. And you don't got to agree with my answer, but you better find your own. And my answer is going to be our ability to create. I know we only got like a minute left, so I want to give you a chance to say something as you leave. But I also would like you to both reiterate the address people can help, and then also reiterate what you're going to be doing in front of Mary.
That's a lot in a minute.
I know it's a lot, so we got to get about 20 seconds.
Oh, it's over? It's over.
You know what? The time is wrong on this clock here. We want to get this
Wait,
time
no, he
right.
said it's over, right? Time is up.
Oh, it's time up. I'm sorry, y'all. Well,
Next
I really
time.
appreciate you. Next time,
Shake
we'll
up.
see you. I'm just saying.
It's like a good sleep, you know. You know you're, but it's like, oh, this feels so good.
That time is so wrong on